All right. Well, maybe we'll just begin by saying thank you so much for coming. My name is Robin, and this is Darcy, and we are Visionary Hearts. We are calling in from the beautiful Great White North of British Columbia and Apu Crystal. And right now it's been a very snowy day, a winter wonderland. We even went out today and harvested a Christmas tree from some of our 17 acres here at Star River Sanctuary. And we are so honored, excited, a little bit nervous, but mostly stoked to be able to share this shamanic starseed teaching with you. And this is the beginning of a set of teachings online and then also an in-person retreat here in British Columbia, where we're diving into the beautiful medicine and the sacred stories and wisdom teachings of the starseed, and also how we can orient to this profound time of planetary transformation. And really, Darcy and I, as we were tuning into the profound potential of this time, we recognize that visions of beauty and hope and inspiration and potential and really love infused guidance are just so needed right now. And our life is rich with these visions of the heart because we are shamanic practitioners and we are here for the awakening of the human heart and the love revolution. And so all of our work, our purpose, our service is to help foster the return and the remembrance of love infused service on the planet. And we are calling also here in honor and service to our beautiful lineage. One of the streams of lineage that we work within is the Pachacuti Mesa tradition. And we are here with the lineage ultramayor, this banco, this reservoir, this beautiful altar. And we are able to be here and calling in and offering this transmission from our hearts and through the lineage because of the graciousness and the kindness, the generosity of our beautiful mentors, Don Oscar Mira Casada and Cindy Mira Casada, and our entire heart family, our soul tribe, and the beautiful lineages of love and light that are on the planet. So that's what I wanted to begin with. And then Darcy's going to offer a smudge. You can receive this. We'll have a brief opening prayer and dive into the teachings.
Okay, everybody, just open up to this a bit of smudge coming through the screen, cleansing your body, your mind, your spirit. Beautiful. Just close our eyes just for one moment. Just do a short grounding practice. Maybe bringing your hands to your heart space. Just slowing down your breath. Feeling that beautiful breath in your body. Feeling Pachamama, or Earth Mother, underneath us. Feeling yourself grounding deeply into this beautiful being, Pachamama, Sophia Gaia. Really deepening your breath, feeling that love in your heart. Breathing into your heart, and then breathing out through your heart. Take 3 more breaths here. And calling in all our higher guides and guardians, all our star families and relatives, all these beautiful energies of nature, of the earth, the sun, of the moon, of the stars, all the forces and energies that are supporting us in our lives. Breathing in deeply. Beautiful. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Darcy. All right. So we are here to share the sacred stories and ancient teachings of the Chaskaruna, of the star beings. And when we were contemplating bringing this to the people, we recognized that, this can be a really charged topic. And there's a lot of reasons for that. One is that it's a very sacred dimension of life. And also, it's a very misunderstood aspect of spiritual practice, shamanic practice, and then also just living within the dominant culture that we find ourselves in. And while there's lots of deep reasons for that, some of which we might explore, we wanted to begin really at the most essential place of power within each of our lives, which is in our own connection to our inner guidance system, our inner healer and wisdom. And so as we are sharing this, please know that we are sharing this from our hearts to yours. We offer this to you not to take as the truth, but to bring to the altar of your heart and to see what resonates with you, and to only keep what feels in full alignment with the love and truth that lives within you. For really, all of our lives are built within our own unique cosmovision and our relationship to the universe. And so we wanted to begin with one of our favorite quotes, and really what feels of the most essence when we're speaking to this level of sacred story, whether it is with our bodies, with the earth, with spirit and spirituality. And it's all about our inner orientation. And so this is a quote from Albert Einstein. So Albert Einstein said, "I think the most important question facing humanity is the universe a friendly place? This is the first and most basic question all people must answer for themselves. For if we decide that the universe is an unfriendly place, then we will use our technology, our scientific discoveries, and our natural resources to achieve safety and power by creating bigger walls to keep out the unfriendliness, and bigger weapons to destroy all that which is unfriendly. And I believe that we are getting to a place where technology is powerful enough that we may either completely isolate or destroy ourselves as well in this process. If we decide that the universe is neither friendly nor unfriendly, and that God is essentially playing dice with the universe, then we are simply victims to the random toss of dice, and our lives have no real purpose or meaning. But if we decide that the universe is a friendly place, then we'll use our technology, our scientific discoveries, and all of our natural resources to create tools and models for understanding that universe, because power and safety will come through understanding its workings and its motives. God does not play dice with the universe. So really at the heart of this sacred story as it relates to our place within not just the Gaian sphere, but also the greater universe of life, the greater ecosystem of the universe, as it were. It all begins here and in how we choose each individually to relate and to orient to the greater whole of life. For we are profound creator beings. And the most powerful thing in this world, the most powerful thing in this world is a story taken to be true. So we have all these interlays of stories about the nature of life and the nature of the universe. And if you're on this call and we're in this community together, then we're already deeply questioning the nature of reality. And when we understand, and this really took for me a deep dive into my own healing journey, kind of being forced to do this work because I was so challenged by what I was experiencing of disease in my body, and so deeply heartbroken and discouraged about what I was seeing in the world around me. And I went on a deep dive of inquiry through the work of Byron Katie and seeking all these different golden threads of wisdom traditions from around the world, which ultimately brought me and us to the sacred ceremonies of the Andes and the Amazon and the master teacher plants. And through this work, and now I would say, a few thousand entheogenic ceremonies, seeing that the most powerful thing in my life for my own experience is how I contextualize the story I give, the meaning that I imbue this life with. And if at the essence, I am orienting to life from a deep trust that the universe has my back, choosing to see, to filter, to orient, to relate to life that in a way where everything is happening for me. And even the most challenging situations have an essential wisdom, a place where I can grow and learn, and are ultimately here to teach and to help me to evolve. And now in our dominant culture, we have many stories that are very anchored in the unfriendly universe, to the point where almost all of our technology and our governance systems and our media is really orienting to this view of the essence, the scientific reductionist materialist paradigm. And when we're speaking to the nature of life on the planet and then in the larger ecosystem, then we're also seeing how this view of always looking for the threat, always seeing where how we might be harmed by life, needing to build up bigger and bigger and bigger. Sorry,
It's meeting.
Okay, yeah, we're good. Needing to build up bigger and bigger and bigger military industrial complexes. It's this orientation and the story, the essence of how we relate to life, that gives the power of our creative dreaming, either to a larger sphere of connectedness and relationship, or to victimization. And we're all right in this together right now, because the meta stories and the meta themes that are being continually shared and reinforced are really of not only an unfriendly universe, but of a very dark future. There's so much fear being cycled around, being reinforced by how we orient to life. And so, there's this quote by Henry Ford, and he said, whether you believe you can do a thing or not, you are right. So whether you believe you can do it or you believe you can't do it, you are right. And this is also at the core of our stories of creation. If we believe the universe is a friendly place, that is what will be continually reinforced. We will find all the examples in the day-to-day for how there is grace, there is beauty, there is guidance, there's potential and possibility, and even the biggest challenges, which are many for all of us right now. This year has been insane for so many in our community, that in these great challenges, there's even greater gifts. However, the momentum, the gravity of the paradigm of the unfriendly universe is intense. And so when we choose to orient to this sacred dimension of life, this friendly universe, when we choose to listen more to the inner knowing of our hearts, of the more beautiful world we know is possible, even though we might not yet see it manifest, then we begin to step into the place of power, and we begin to become architects of our reality. Not in control of what happens, because we're never in control, but where we can consciously not only respond, but choose how we receive the meaning of everything that's happening in our lives. And this is really the healing journey. This is what we're supporting people with in our ceremonies, in our work. This is the essence of transforming trauma into post-traumatic growth. It's all in taking what life has brought us, and even in the moment, if we're experiencing disease or pain or grief or loss or conflict or challenge, and dropping into the present, dropping into the heart, and finding what deeper and more beautiful potential and story and meaning there is. And so we wanted to just introduce this as a way of orienting to this larger conversation about how we view life, and the starseeds and the Chaskaruna, the star beings, because there's been a very conscious and considered campaign to create fear around contact, to have anyone who speaks about their relationship with the stars, their relationship to spirits and even spiritual light beings as, tin hat, people who wear tin hats. This was and now this is coming to light through disclosure, that this was a very conscious movement by the powers that be, or the dominant holders of power within our culture, to discredit a very sacred and profound aspect of what's been happening on life on the planet for the last 80 years, but so much farther back. which is that, we've never been alone, that there's a beautiful and vast universe that we are a part of, and that we can make relationship with this vast universe. And yet we can only do that if we are willing to listen to our hearts and open to the greater potential of life. We want to just right there.
Do you want to keep going?
Yeah. Just, is there anything you want to share around that?
Maybe after
Okay.
this.
Great. All right. So with that said, we wanted to anchor in to the sacred stories and the cosmovision of how other cultures, and not just our dominant culture, or really, what in some modern day philosophers have called the empire consciousness, which many of us are within and we are waking up through, is that there's beautiful sacred stories, really the mythos and the myths of the people. And again, if we understand that the most powerful thing in our lives are the stories that we take to be true, for the empowering stories and the disempowering stories is equal. And these cultures who have understood that everything is alive, everything is sentient, everything has soul and spirit and consciousness, and that there's a radical sentience to and aliveness to all of the universe. We could call these cultures, and we often refer to them as shamanic, but at the essence, they're earth-honoring animistic cultures. And these earth-honoring animistic cultures from Turtle Island, from really, actually all over the world, have stories of how the origin, the creation stories relate to the beings of the stars, that actually many cultures have the story that they have come from the stars, specific star systems. Like within the Hawaiian culture, they have their origin story of coming from the Pleiades, from the Dogon people and their relationship and the great teacher beings of Sirius, from the many different North American tribes and their connection to the sky people, the star nations, and how these were really the great teachers of the people and brought the civilizing arts. And when we start to understand that these great mother cultures, these cultures that were so imbued in place and deep relationship to the sacred dimension of life with the earth, the cosmos, and nature, that the stars were profound sources of guidance, inspiration, and knowledge. And that while, we right now have a lot of inorganic light, and we spend a lot of time indoors, and we spend a lot of time with light frequencies that are, let's just say, inorganic, that our ancient ones, and even just 100 years ago, spent a lot of time with organic light of the heavens. And that as the, generation upon generation upon generation looked to the sky, there was patterns that were seen, deep knowledge and relationship that was created. And that, this dance of humans and life on Earth, as well as the life of the stars, began to form these greater stories, these mythic allegories. And allegories are essential for understanding the nature of reality, because the allegory is the teaching story where every aspect, every character is embodying a mythic archetype within us or in our community to help us understand how to live and to thrive well, to be good community members, and to meet the challenges that life brings, to become fully realized humans. And so, there's some larger archetypes to these stories. But one more thing before I get into the specifics around the guidance of the Chaskaruna, the star beings, is that we know how powerful the stars and the heavens were to these people, because so many of the great temples, the sacred sites, the megalithic stone circles, the ancient medicine wheels, the cultures that built many, many temples, they're all related to the sun, the moon, the dance of the earth and the cosmos, and specific star constellations. And so there is, in the most advanced mother cultures, there is this reflection of heaven on earth, as in Egypt, where the temples were built along the Nile River, which symbolized the Milky Way. And the great temples were built in accordance to the placement of the constellations around the Milky Way. So on Earth was mirroring heaven. And the same thing happened in the Andes, in the Sacred Valley of Peru, where the Urubamba River, known as the Wilcamayu, which runs parallel to the Milky Way, that it became the orienting feature on the land. And the temple sites, or the wakas, were reflections of the constellations and the stars, and the specific power, medicine, and guidance those star constellations brought to the people was then honored and reflected on earth through these incredible temples, spaced in reflection of the heavens. And so we know this on that level, but also, of course, these wisdom traditions, while they've gone underground, in no way have they died. They just hid themselves for a while. But right now we're living in the time of prophecy, and we are living in the time of the reemergence of these great golden threads, these golden chains of initiation. And they're offering themselves, and we're the really fortunate generation to be able, regardless of the color of our skin, our ethnicity, our background, our gender, to receive this powerful and beautiful and sacred wisdom. And so we give thanks for that. We're very grateful. And so to just speak in greater depth to this specific type of medicine of the Chaskaruna, the star beings, I want to begin with utilizing the cosmovision of the beautiful Andean people. And this is deeply rooted from the teachings in the Pachacudi Mesa tradition, as well as teachings that we've received from wisdom keepers of the high Andes, including the Winetaki and the rainbow lineage of Chincheros and Quero elders that we've worked with. Just very, very beautiful and heart-centered human beings. So we give gratitude and honor. This is coming from those sources. And so within this cosmovision, we're seeing, and this is, of course, relatable in many different traditions, animistic, shamanic traditions, that there's seem to be three worlds that are continually interpenetrating. And really these three dimensions of soul are one and continually unified, but have distinct characteristics. And within this three world view, there's the inner world of the Ukupacha, which is where the past lives, but also our dreaming, our lunar nature, our relationship to the within. And then there's the Kaipacha, which is everything that we see and interact with in the world here. The Kaipacha is literally this world. It's translated as Kai, this, Pacha, world, dimension, reality, time, space. And it's the material form, the body, the community, the ecosystem. It's everything that we can see and interact with in our sensorial forms. And then there's the Hanak Pacha. And this is seen as the celestial world or the superior world. It's seen as the source of all life and light. And that it's also the energy, it's the dimension where the energy of source, divinity resides, and is continually shining and radiating out this pure creative energy. And the essence, the vibratory essence of the Hanak Pacha is love. And it's a profound love, a divine love, a love that knows no fear. It's the only place that we can find true peace in this earth walk is when we align ourselves to this love. And so this Hanak Pacha energy, this place, this source of all light is our origin. And it's also where an aspect of us lives, our higher self, our divine self, our shining self. And from this Hanak Pacha, this upper celestial world, the light comes through the stars and the sun to us. And the stars are considered to be the very highest part of the Kai Pacha, the Hanan Pacha, the upper world. It's right where pure source touches and becomes, moves from the wave into the particle, turns into creation, becomes the manifest. And the stars are connected to this source divinity within this cosmovision. And they have three main characteristics for relationship and connection as shamanic practitioners and to the greater living universe, or the Tekse Muyu. And so the stars are considered to be punkus, takis, and giyas. So I'll break that down. So punku is Quechua for gateway. And so the stars are considered to be portals or gateways of life force energy. And there's a specific frequency of organic light that is pure medicine as it radiates to us. And so when we go out on, a nice clear night, and especially on the new moon, and I grew up in the high desert of Arizona, which has the best starry nights. And it's so, when we look up, there's that energy of awe and beauty. And this feeling for many of us of a longing, of a connection to return to our origin. And the punku is also that gateway. The stars are considered a gateway because it's every star is related to a soul on the earth, and how we individually as a soul came into body. So it's considered a soul gate, as it were, a nuna punku. And so the stars are gateways for medicine, for light, for connection to the divine source field of creator creatrix. They're also a take, or a storehouse. And this is a repository, a beautiful energy field of medicine and wisdom. And so as, in the communion with the stars, just allowing our eyes to receive the light, or allowing our bodies, even just in our shamanic visioning, to receive the light of the stars, we begin to receive soul treasure. For every star has a unique medicine, teaching, and transmission to offer us. And so as we make relationship as shamanic practitioners, we little by little make relationship with more spiritual beings. And the stars are one form of them, as well as the mountains, the apus, the sacred waters, the trees, the plants, there's endless beings to create relationship with within the animate sentient view of reality. And if you believe it to be true, then it becomes true for you, and it's a beautiful life. And then finally, the Chaskaruna are guides or guias. And this aspect of guidance is related to the larger field of how do we live in beauty, wellness, and wholeness here? How do we return? How do we bring that heaven to earth? How do we return that cosmic order and harmony to what we're doing here? And so the great cultures, the mother cultures, looked to the heavens for this guidance and very clearly had not just stories, but built entire temple complexes to receive the guidance from specific stars and star constellations. Now, just for one example, we can look to the Pleiades constellation, or the Seven Sisters. And just to, because we're focused on the Andean cosmovision, although this star system has been very sacred to many people from all over the earth, from Japan, China, Europe, Turtle Island. This is a very powerful cluster of stars for the larger mythic archetypal unfolding of humanity. But within the Andes, the mother culture of Chavin had a temple specifically, so a temple and an altar specifically to the Pleiades. And the orientation of the sacred site, the door, the front-facing opening of the port of the main temple was oriented to face the rising of the Pleiades. And so for those of you who are Pachacuti Mesa carriers, in this Mesa tradition, we sit in the south of the Mesa, looking to the north. And that is in a patterning that reflects the patterning of the temple site of Chavin de Huantar, where the gateway is facing the north in the south. And so even the patterning of our mesas is related to this much more ancient patterning and orientation to the Pleiades. And then there's the temple of Chincheros in the Sacred Valley, where there's many different altars, all facing the north and the rising of the Pleiades. And the most revered elders, when they passed, would be mummified and turned into Malkis. The Malki is for the revered elder. It's also the name for great ancient trees, a Malki. And the Malkis would be wrapped into a fetal position and placed in these altars facing the Pleiades, because there's the story goes, the understanding within the cosmovision is that these great teachers came on the rainbow bridge from the Pleiades, and that by offering the souls back, they're actually asking for more souls to come, more great teachers and guides for the human family to come from that one star system. So I could share more, but that was a lot. And so that's, the one very brief touch, and we could spend all day talking about the star ancestry, the mythic stories and myths of the people from around the world when it comes to star people, nations, elders. But we just wanted to start there because it was a really beautiful cross-cultural representation of how stars and the Chaskaruna have been related to by many people around the earth. Okay.
Thank you, Robin.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, let's take a breath. So this is really fun to talk about. This is fascinating material, and it really lights us up. It's one of our big studies is studying this this world, of the stars, of the star relatives, of ancient archaeology, ancient technology. One of our favorite things to do is to travel to these ancient monolithic sites that really show that, you know, our ancient people were very advanced spiritually, very advanced in their civilization, very advanced in their calendrical systems, and how they built their temples and their wakas and their connection to the stars. And this is global. This is a global phenomenon. You know, everything from, you know, the bigger temples that Robin was talking about to the elongated skulls of the ancient Egyptian people, the Sumerian texts talking about the Anunnaki. You know, it's everywhere. Once you start looking at in the ancient record, it's everywhere. And it's fascinating that in our dominant culture, it's frowned upon to look into, right? To contemplate. It's ridiculed. You know, like Robin was saying, it's like, you know, you're a tin-hatted person.
A tinfoil hat.
Tinfoil hat. If you speak about this, if you're into it, if it interests you, you're ridiculed. Like it's, you know, you're weird. And, you know, the dominant view is that humans are alone in the universe. Like there's no other life. Like we are the most intelligent species in the universe. We haven't seen any life anywhere else. And I find that fascinating that that's what collectively, even though there's been polls where, you know, 70% of people say that they believe that there's something more. But in the dominant view, you know, people are kind of afraid to talk about it. And, you know, look at our movies even. It's like most movies about the stars or extraterrestrials are usually about, you know, negative extraterrestrials. They're here to kill us, right? There's rarely is there a movie about beneficial extraterrestrials or star nations or even beneficial futures, you know, futures where humans are thriving. So there's this interesting block, you know, interference of humanity to expand their consciousness out into the stars. Even though like it's obvious that our ancient people really felt that this was really important, right? It was important to be able to connect with the stars, mirror the star realms, make connection with these ancestors. You know, or you know, if you keep going back, we're gonna go back to the ancestors of the stars. But it's coming back. The fascinating thing is it's coming back into our civilization. Um, you know, the shamanic traditions, the plant spirit medicine traditions, the star relatives come through all the time, right? Many people are being contacted through the shamanic traditions. If you look at ayahuasca artwork, they're always showing star people and UFOs in their artwork. So, you know, it's quite common in those realms. And then how many people have had some sort of contact, you know, or seen something in the sky? Millions and millions and millions of people have had contact. And so this leads me into the concept of star seeds. So this is a fascinating concept, and I'd like to explain it a little bit. This is going to make sense. We're going to little by little move into as we get to Three Eye Atlas. So the starseed phenomenon is, it's also called the Envoy Project. And so at some point, Pachamama and the higher councils knew that the Earth was going through a massive evolution, a massive shift. And we'd gone through a very long cycle, a very dense cycle of consciousness. Kali Yuga, you know, there's many names of this
age of
long,
separation.
this is the age of separation, right? Really where humanity forgets who they are, right? We forget how connected we are to all of life. We fall into this illusions of separation from ourselves, our hearts, of the earth, of nature, of divinity, of the stars, right? We move into more of a consciousness that's based in conflict, in war, in yeah, separating ourselves from others, right? And there's a moment now that humanity is now evolving to the next level of being. So moving from an older state of consciousness to a more evolved state of consciousness. So this call was put out to many souls around the galaxy or the universe to come and help. Because there's something that's called a non-interference clause or a prime directive, where the spirit realms could only help out so much because humans and the earth is a place of free will and sovereignty. And so there's only so much that they could help if humanity didn't want help or wasn't asking for help, right? And so there was this project, the Starseed project, where Pachamama asked help from all these souls to come, to incarnate, to be born on Earth. So millions and millions of souls were born on Earth over this last probably 100 years, maybe more, but for sure, like a lot through these last few generations to come to Earth, to be born, have the right, they have the authority to be here, right? To have the authority to say, please help, please come and help us. All the higher realms, all of the realms of spirit, the Hanat Pacha beings. And also to be anchoring in specific energies from where these souls are from, right? So each and every one of us is a beautiful soul, right? That's lived many, many lifetimes in many, many places. And we have a soul essence to a certain area, a certain vibration, a certain solar system, a certain star. And so we have that capacity to attune, to align its resonance, its medicine here in this body, to shine the light of that star, of that place of emergence here. And so that's the story of the Starseed, where many of us are here. In a way, everybody on the planet is a starseed, right? Like everybody's on the planet. And there's people that have received the call to be here, to heed the call, to bring in some sort of medicine or vibration to be able to help in this evolution of consciousness that's happening. But it hasn't been easy, right? It hasn't been easy for these starseeds. And you might feel this yourself, right? You feel like, I don't belong here. Like, this is a difficult place. It's really harsh on this planet. I don't understand the consciousness here. It feels really dense, right? And so it's been very hard on these very sensitive souls that have come here that are used to actually a higher, wider vibration, right? Where we live in more of a refined, our souls for more of a refined place, right? And so we come here, we forget who we are. We feels like we parachute naked into foreign land, and we don't have any maps, right? We don't know what our mission is.
And who are these people?
And who are these people? And what's going on? And I know that there's another way. Like, I know that we can be doing some things differently, but I don't know where my people are, right? And so some starseeds kind of get lost. They have a difficult time finding their way. Other starseeds start to find their soul family, right? Start to find others. They find their teachers and their guides, and they find lineages, and they find mystery schools, and they find their deep connection with nature, and they're taught, and they start to remember, right? Start to awaken. The plant medicines have a big role in this, is helping the star seeds really awaken to why they're here. And so that's where we are right now with the star seeds. There's all these beautiful beings that are starting to remember, starting to gather, starting to realize that they have something to offer, right? There's a mission here to help Pachamama evolve and move to the next level of being. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anything
Yeah. You know what I'll just add is like one of the things that Darcy and I, when we first met, like this came up really soon after we met. And I remember being little and looking around and just not getting what was happening. Feeling very awake, really in touch with a deep inner knowing that where I came from was not what I was seeing. And like a deep sense of dislocation, of not knowing how I got here or why I was here, but also a deep knowing that it didn't need to be this way. Like there was things that was just felt so foreign, like like anger and conflict, and how the level of violence and harshness. And I remember, because I grew up outside of Sedona, Arizona, with my beautiful mom and family, and like immersed in the New Age community there for sure, and the goddess traditions, and had a very eclectic background growing up. So I was brought to like channeling sessions with different channels, connecting to these intergalactic beings. So, I had a pretty wide open paradigm growing up. But I remember just like really thinking about it when I was little and being like, I don't know if I've been here before, or if I have, it's been a very long time. I don't know how things got to be like this. And, and then as well, like a level of sensitivity that has taken, has really been part of my life's work to transform my sensitivity, or to embrace my sensitivity, but to become as strong as I am sensitive, because the intensity of my sensory input and then my psychic input was so much that it was very dysregulating. And I know, through all of the healing work I've done, that a huge amount of my imbalance and illness and struggle was just being so open to the harshness, the intensity, the density, and not being able to close that off, and taking on way too much. And so, for many of us, this becomes, a call, and our sensitivity, or our challenges, our sense of dislocation and feeling like a stranger in a strange land, becomes the impetus for our own healing and awakening journey. But also at the core of what I feel is the like starseed archetype is a profound call, and knowing that we came here to be of service. And what we have sometimes called the starseed conundrum is it's really frustrating to not have it know how we're here to serve often. Like, is this how I'm here to serve? Is this what I'm supposed to do? Or, one of the things over the years, we're like, we know that we're here to be this. And we both connected on that level, just knowing that this was a part of our souls, like that we came here for this purpose, to support Pachamama, Gaia, and all life in this great turning. Like we both knew that before we met each other. But it was really frustrating. They'll be like, but we got to figure out how to be adults and have jobs and navigate the earthly dimension. And we were just like, why do we have to do all of this? We know we came here just to be loved, right? And to express. And we had a like, this was years ago, and Darcy's like, I just read in this book that the reason starseeds we have to work so hard is that if we didn't have to learn how to make a living and be in the world, we'd just live in the forest in isolation because it's just too difficult to be with the collective. I was like, aha. So, in the long run, the starseed conundrum is really resolved by recognizing that it's not about what we're doing. We can be, and both Darcy and I've cleaned so many toilets. I've taken, I've done so much work that was not glamorous, and it wasn't about what I was doing. It was about how I was doing it, and the energy that I was infusing to those I was caring for. And so at this time on the planet, I feel this is even more important to recognize, is that we really have to let go of the idea that it looks a certain way, because our presence and our attunement and our hearts are the fulfillment of our service and purpose on the planet. It's simply the love that we resonate and the unique frequencies of those gifts of care, of love, of creativity, of ingenuity, of innovation. That's how we just resonate that out. Whether we are, doing the most humble work or very, very spotlight work, the mission is the same. And I just want to say that because I feel like now more than ever, it's really important to anchor into that. So yeah, what do we do?
Do we want to go over that or go to?
Why don't we go? Yeah, why don't we? Well, yeah, we'll save some practices for how to connect more to this starseed galactic nature, but maybe move into this the convergence happening. The convergence.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to keep moving along here. So we are in extraordinary times right now. I've never seen anything like it in my short life here on the planet. So obviously humanity is going through this huge shift, right? Many choice points of what direction we're going to go into. Are we going to go into more of a organic timeline or more of a synthetic timeline? Are we going to move out of the conflict model, war model, or are we going to become more conscious? And so many people have been talking about, like, they feel that there's shift coming. This has been prophesized by many of our ancient people. There's a shift coming very soon, if not now. And it seems like 2026, 2027 is a huge activation point. The amount of alignments and is off the chart. It's really amazing what's happening astrologically. And then July 1st this year, we had this fascinating Voyager, this object come in called 3I Atlas. And I'll just give a brief summary for people that aren't too familiar with it. 3I Atlas is an interstellar object, the third interstellar object that's been found in our solar system since we've been, looking for it. And so it's been pretty recent, July 1st of this year. It was discovered by the Atlas telescope in Chile. And so that's why it's called 3I Atlas, okay? Some people call it Atlas. I might call it Atlas. And so it looked originally like a really fast moving comet, but it has some very interesting phenomenon. And so a lot of people are like, wow, this isn't really acting like a comet. For one thing, it's very fast. It's moving at 130,000 miles an hour, which is very, very fast for a comet. Because it's moving so fast, they can kind of map out how old it is, like to actually be to pick up that much speed. And they figure it's between 3 and 10 billion years old, right? So it could be much older than our solar system itself. It could be right from the center of our galaxy, right? So a very ancient object that's here moving through. One of the most fascinating phenomenons is that it's coming in through the ecliptic of our solar system. So the ecliptic is where all the planets revolve around the sun, right? So it's actually coming through. Like, so the odds of that coming through the same ecliptic as all the planets is super rare. It's only like 1 in 500 chance that that would happen, right? It's like, wow, that's super rare that that would happen. So it's moving through, and it's because it's moving through the ecliptic, it's able to come close to many of the planets and objects in our solar system. So really close to Mars, to Venus, to Earth, and then finally to Jupiter. And actually, as it exits towards Jupiter, it's really close to the gravitational field of Jupiter, right? So meaning that Jupiter would actually receive quite a bit of anything that it might be leaving behind. The 3i Atlas also came quite close to the sun, and then huge solar storms happened, and it got hit by a massive amount of solar storms, which then activated a whole bunch of solar storms that hit Earth. So it's been very active recently on Earth with the amount of solar radiation, solar storms, auroras, and things like that. Very active. And so the color of 3i Atlas changed from a red. It got hit by all these solar storms, and then it became more blue when it came out from behind the sun. It was bluish, and then it turned back to more of a green, which is, many ancient people talk about a blue star, right? Things really start shifting from this blue star Kachina, right? A Kachina is like the star beam that they talk about, blue star Kachina. And so in the Hopi prophecy, they really talk about, like, once this star is seen, there's a big purification that happens, which I don't see that as a negative thing, right? I see the purification as purifying from the old story, right? From the old energies. So humanity can evolve to the next level of being, not anchored into the past, right? All this old stuff. And so it's just fascinating how it's relating to the Hopi prophecy. And yeah, and it's just like the times that it's coming, and it's it's already passed through the sun. Earth is going to then cycle up pretty close to it, as close as it can, on December 19th. So which is new moon, and then also really close to solstice. So like a extraordinary timing. And solstice times is a powerful gateway of energy, that is a really amazing time to work in ceremony and ritual. And so 3i Atlas is going to be we're going to be as close as we can. And then when it passes, Earth is going to hit into the wake of 3i Atlas in March and April. So we're going to be going through the energy field that it's left behind. Another fascinating anomaly is it's got this tail that goes towards the sun, right? So most comets have a tail that goes, from the other side, because usually the solar radiation is pushing gases off of the comet and it's creating a tail. But 3i Atlas has a massive, was it a 1,000,000-mile tail going towards the sun. It's like, how does it doing that? Right? It's like perfectly straight too. It's like And it's also rotating, but it has a tail that's going a million miles forward.
That's straight.
That's straight. So it's got all these like very fascinating anomalies to it on the physical level.
Oh, and the journey is taken in between star system.
Yeah, right. And so it's a, maybe a 5-10 billion-year-old object. So it's carrying a lot of energy, right? It's carrying a lot of energy from the great central sun, the center of the galaxy, but also it's been hitting hundreds to thousands of other stars, right, all along its way, right? And it's actually taken 10 million years to get from the last star to us. 10 million years, right? That's a huge amount of time. And so over the billions of years, it's visited many, 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 many star systems, and now it's coming into our system. And so,
and there's one last piece can I share on that?
Yeah.
Is that what they're saying is that during 3i Atlas's journey in interstellar space, it's collecting all of this interstellar dust, all of these different types of chemicals and volatile organic compounds. And it was just discovered on another asteroid that we actually, humans, sent a little spaceship, I can't remember what it's called. Little rover to this asteroid, collected asteroid dust, and then that was brought back to Earth. And this was just recently discovered. And that all of the building blocks of life were found on this asteroid, all of the amino acids and organic compounds. And so what they're discovering or hypothesizing is that 3i Atlas has been collecting organic interstellar compounds from all of these different solar systems. And then as it flew so close to the sun, but it was going fast enough, it didn't get drawn into the sun's gravitational field, that it's getting super heated up, and those organic compounds are being sloughed off and really what we consider pollinating our solar system. And so that's all happening right now. We think it's a big deal. I mean, you have to turn off the football game and some of the other stuff happening that is very entertaining, or the movies out or whatever it is, the holiday cookies, for that to come through. Okay.
Yeah. So this is a big event that's happening right now. It's really worth paying attention to because it's happening right now. There's also 6 other comets in our solar system right now. It's like this, entourage that's happening with 3i Atlas. And so many, many people are interested in like what's going on here. Like this is happening in perfect timing to this great shift that's being prophesized. And so many people are tuning into this. We're tuning into this. We're working in ceremony about this. And it seems like this 3i Atlas is more than a comet, right? It's, whatever consciousness you look at it, it is, right? So if you think it's a rock floating through space, it's going to be a rock floating through space, right? That's how you see it. If you see it as something more, it's something more. Like there's a magnificence to this object. There's a consciousness that is profound. It's ancient, it's wise, it's multidimensional, and it's seeding our solar system with energy, with vibration, with if you see photos of it, it's got all these jets coming from it. It has that tail, but it also has all these jets, and you see all this, dust coming from it, or vapor coming from it. And so what is it doing? Like, what is that dust? What is that vapor? And then on a multidimensional level, like what is that on another dimension? Like what is the vibrations that it's putting out? It also came like behind the sun and seeded the sun, like Robin said. And then the sun seeded all that energy through sun rays. right, for the last month. So everything's been being hit by this 3i Atlas energy, medicine, vibration. So freaking exciting. Yes, it is. And you know what it's really showing me is that, you know, it's showing that we live in a very alive universe, right? Like this universe is alive and awake, and things are conscious on all these different levels. Like just like on Earth, right? We, you know, one great analogy is of the tree. Okay, so from one level of consciousness, if you have a logging company look at a tree, they're like, okay, well, that's the growing wood, and there's a certain amount of board feet of wood in that tree, and we'll wait till it grows to a certain height, and then we'll harvest it, right? But on another level, on a shamanic level or a spiritual level, you can look at that tree and see like, wow, that's an ancient being. You know, that species has been around for 500 million years. It's very wise, very intelligent, very connected to its ecosystem, right? Has so many ways that it senses. It's got a spirit. You can actually connect with that spirit, and that spirit can actually teach you. So the same thing happens in our cosmos. And this is why our ancient people, you know, felt the cosmos were so significant to continue making connection, because the cosmos are alive, right? Everything is alive in our universe. The whole universe is filled with life that we can make connection with it. And so 3i Atlas is an, you know, interstellar object, interstellar being, which I feel is it's actually a live, sentient plasma being. That's what I feel it is, and many people do too. And all of us are also interstellar beings. We all come from another place as well. So 3i Atlas is actually a mirror of us, right? It's helping us to remember that we are more than who we think we are, right? We are more than these physical bodies. We're more than human. We are divine humans, but we're also these star-seeded consciousness that we can attune to. Yeah.
That was awesome. Thank you. Yeah. And, you know, I think in this, you know, one of the things that has been kind of blowing my mind, and we've been really tracking, is how right now there's, you know, this convergence of ancient prophecies, new prophecies, of like mystical new downloads of profound significance and beauty, awakenings happening in spontaneous and collective ways, you know, great contact, and really the return to the Gaian sphere, the third wave of the psychedelic renaissance, where we are connecting to expanded states of consciousness, which connects us to the shamanic and spiritual realities. And through that, my favorite thing that happens, my favorite thing is that you can have the most hardcore materialist receive a really good dose of plant medicines, and all of a sudden they need to go outside. There's an innate intelligence. You need to go outside, lie on the earth, and begin to once again feel the heartbeat of Mother Earth. To feel the trees, the grass, and the growing breath of life, and awaken within to a wisdom that can't be given outside, that we are always connected and interdependent with the greater soul of life. Now, that insight can be forgotten. People can have it and then they can just fall back into the materialist paradigm. However, right now we're having this convergence happening. And at the same time, we're having all these systems breaking down, breaking through, being reversed and revolved. And we are truly in the great turning and the prophesized Pachacuti. But that's not all. there's even more happening. And there's finally, after decades of dedicated work by so many people, disclosure of how the US government and the military industrial complex has been interfacing with other people from other places and other types of beings is coming to light. And just believe about 2 weeks ago, a documentary came out called The Age of Disclosure. And we will send in our integration or an email after this. We'll link to that because it's showing that, there's people who are in the US government who are working very hard to bring the truth and the light to the people around this. So that's happening. And then on top of all of this, we have this interstellar object, this phenomenon, this whole new potential. And I feel that it's a catalyst and a potentiator. And the visions that we have received, and we have invited some of our community into who've sat in sacred circle with us. We've, Darcy's guided this communion and connection with this being, so that we could collectively learn more about what it could be, just because it's fun to do that, and why not? And what I received is a profound vision of the star seed that we all are, this beautiful shining one, this radiant soul. And most all of Darcy and I's work and our teachings and our retreats, like the retreat we're going to be offering at New Year's Eve called the Year of Prophecy, just to plug that a little. We still have space, come on in. But our work is to reconnect people to our true essential nature, to reconnect to love, because love is what we are, and love is how divinity manifests itself in the worlds of form. And love is that radiant, shining nature. And through that seed of love and potential and wisdom, and also our ancient selves, as Darcy was mentioning, we have come into this life and we've all done a lot of work. If you're here now, we're together in this call or listening into the recording, you've been on the front lines and you're hardcore. And I've got mad respect for you. And it's wonderful to be on the front lines with you. Trailblazing is hard work, but it's good to not be alone. And in this, we have grown the seed. And over the planetary convergences, the harmonic convergence in the 80s, 2012, the amount of ceremonies and dedication and offerings and the continual prayer being sung and embodied to bring forth that golden age, that time when all the children are fed, when we utilize our resources, not to grow a greater military, which, by the way, over $1 trillion has gone to the black budget office of whatever this disclosure project is coming out on. All this money, all this resources to fear that we've been creating these ceremonies, that we've been living our lives and dedicating the merit of this life to utilizing these resources to purify the waters, to grow the garden of earth. Like, there's so much that has been built to now. Like, there's so much love and care, so many ceremonies, so many gatherings, all dedicated to this one united prayer of the new earth rising. And we've done a good job, even though it's not being televised, because the revolution is not televised, right? I mean, the bumper sticker said it like a long time ago, but it's actually proved to be true. It's in here. The revolution, the Renaissance is within us. And so the star seed is now, we've already sprouted. And that through this time, our job, our work, our sacred service is to let go for a while of holding the whole world is our responsibility, because it can be a little heavy sometimes for me, for us. I don't know about you. And to recognize that it's good. It's okay. Everything's right on schedule. It's right on schedule. And our work is to open, to allow the infinite flower of our being to open and to receive the nourishment, the vitality, the pollination of the sacred dimension, the sacred spirit, that we're empowering this being of Three-Eye Atlas. It's empowering us. It's coming through the mythos, the sacred story of our lives, to receive that pollen. And in so receiving the pollen, we are also offering our pollen. We're offering our essence. We're receiving essence and offering essence simultaneously. And through this, the greater evolution of life is happening. And that's a vision that I received from this being in communion. And really where this series, we're having this call. And then on December 19th, when Three-Eye Atlas is the closest to Earth, we're going to be having another live call. And we're going to have this call really be a ceremony and a guided process and journey to open for the flowering of Homo luminous, the flowering of, the radiant beauty that we are as humans, even with our messiness. That's okay. Like, not perfection, but just that beautiful, radiant, fully actualized human. And to not leave ourselves behind now by being too involved or too concerned about everything that's happening out there. Because for now, there's an opportunity, and we don't want to miss this opportunity. It's a profound opportunity, and to receive and commune in this way will potentiate our sacred service and help us to unite as a soul tribe, as a family of heart, to stabilize the Earth's greater heart field by resonating and attuning and vibrating at this very strong, beautiful frequency. Because it doesn't take very many of us to stabilize the consciousness of humans and the planet on a very vast level. And so that's what's in my heart to share. There's just so much more. There's so many more places we could go.
Yeah, I'd like to move into questions in a couple of minutes. I just want to go back to this documentary, Age of Disclosure.
Oh, yeah.
So in the last couple of years, I've been following that. There's been all these whistleblowers starting to come out and talk to Congress about what they're seeing, in these secret, hidden programs. But they're only allowed to talk about so much. But it seems like they're starting to be allowed to talk about it. And they're introducing the topic of what they're seeing to Congress. But there's a lot that they can't talk about. There's all these like non-disclosure agreements that they made. And then this documentary of Age of Disclosure came out. And it's got all these like high-level government and military officials coming out and saying, yes, like we are allowed to talk about this now, but only a certain amount. And we're talking about it because it's happening. It's happening really fast. Disclosure is coming, right? It's probably going to, start rapidly coming in the next couple of years. We are taking a stand and we're saying, yes, we are ready to talk about it. Right. But there has to be, some opening for them to be allowed to talk about it. Some non-disclosure agreements have to be bypassed. Some protections. Some of these programs have to be protected so the public doesn't like totally go after them because they've been illegal for so many years. It's fascinating. It's actually a really fascinating documentary that's like, whoa, this is actually happening. Like these people are talking about this, right? 2025, with all this stuff happening with Three-Eye Atlas, all this huge shift of consciousness. So everything is happening right now, right? And we're a part of it, right? We can be part of it. We can choose to pay attention, right? Do our work, anchor into our medicine, our light, right? Be a service to this evolution on the planet, or we can go back to sleep, right? So it's a choice that humanity has to make. Like, where do we want to go with this?
And I feel that even if just a small percentage of us choose, that's enough, because we're really powerful in our love.